Congratulations! You did the impossible. You broke the randomizer. With Hollow Knight Silksong on the horizon, I thought it would be fun to try a Hollow Knight item randomizer, and as you can see, it went simultaneously very well and very, very badly. I was able to completely softlock myself with no way of winning, and yet still win. I don't really know any speedrun tricks, so I set the settings to accommodate my skill level, but I randomized everything, as in literally every item, charms, abilities, key items, stag passageways, ranted eggs, even clumps of geo and lore got thrown into the mix. I set out on my journey and what? A pale ore? Okay, this is a good start. Conifer, my man! 30 geo for something in return, don't mind if I do. Oh, honestly, pretty funny. Well done. This happens a lot. I later went to the stag station in the crossroads where I discovered that the path to Dirtmouth was open, except that's not entirely true. You can travel there, but there's no way back, and the switch to open the door in Dirtmouth is no longer there. I would need to find the Dirtmouth stag or the crossroads stag to warp there and back, so I'll just have to quit the game and then load at the last bench I stayed at. Fair enough, no biggie. A second pale ore? Okay, I have a feeling defeating enemies and bosses will not be the difficult part of this run. And then I was immediately contradicted. The only way out of the Forgotten Crossroads is through Green Path, as I don't have any movement upgrades to take a different route, and I don't have a way past the Elder Boulder because I don't have any Vengeful Spirit shots. Huh. Yeah, this is a problem. That's the way you're supposed to do it, but as it turns out, the first charm I stumbled upon was Glowing Womb. This charm uses soul to summon every creature's demise! They annihilated them! Yeah, these things are OP, but the downside is due to them draining your soul, you can't heal, so I didn't stick with them for too long. I continued on my merry way, letting my friends destroy everything in our path, until we encountered the true protagonist, Hornet. Yeah, she was actually quite an easy fight. However, turns out you need a movement upgrade to proceed or to get out, so I just had to quit the game and load at the bench into the stag station. I cleared as much as I could, finding items that helped along the way, until I reached the Queen's Station next to Fog Canyon. At that station was the Distant Village stag. Alright, fantastic! You know what, why not? Let's go! Oh, wait. This is Deep Nest. I misremembered. I thought this was the Stag Nest. Oh, well, I'm here now, so let's see what we can do. A pale ore! Okay, so I've got enough for 3 nail upgrades. Just have to make my way to the city. This'll be easy. Well, as I'm here, I may as well sit on this lovely bench surrounded by a crowd of nice-seeming people. You know what? This is comfy. A little sticky, though. Oh, hey, fellas. You know, you're getting a little bit too close for my liking. Ah! This is unfortunate. But you know what? I refuse to die here. Let's get moving. I found something incredibly cool. Something that looks like it was designed this way. I fell down a large pit, and the reward at the end is a double jump, which enabled me to get back out of that pit. That is awesome! That's like Metroidvania level design 101, and the game randomized it for me. I love stuff like that. Unfortunately, this is where I encountered a problem. I didn't have a wall jump, which was the only way to proceed, no matter how much I tried, which means I am entirely softlocked. I sat on a bench to get in here, so I can't just quit and load. But I can use a mod. Bench warp allows you to warp to any bench you found, which is how I travelled from now on for the sake of convenience, but only on the assumption I can actually travel there legitimately. However, because in this instance I didn't sit on the bench at the stag station, I had to warp to somewhere else. But that's fine, I wanted to go back to Green Path anyway. And hey, I've still got my double jump and ore. Things are gonna go much smoother, right? Right? Well, yeah, to a point. We're gonna go more quick fire through the game from now on. I found a stag that took me to the top of the City of Tears, which meant I could fully explore there and areas I'd already been to, as I now had shortcuts back. I immediately found Desolate Dive and got my nail upgrade, so combined with my high health, I was pretty unstoppable. Then, once I finished all I could, I headed back to the beginning as I learned that lore tablets were randomized. I found Howling Wraith and Salubra's Blessing. That would have been super helpful early on. Better late than never. If you do this randomizer, read everything. Read in general. Go to libraries. You'll be smarter. Maybe. Tip of the day. I conquered as much of Crystal Peaks as I could, given I didn't have a wall jump, but I did find unbreakable parts, so now I was even more powerful. But my biggest downside is that I was still lacking in the movement department. I found a stag that could take me to King's Station in the City of Tears, which led to this. Oh, it's so close. I've got 4 shots of this. That's not true, I can just die, so be it. Oh! Holy shit! Okay, that was so worth going for. Thanks to that, I could explore more of the ancient basin and do some pretty cool movement stuff. Well, there is a way out, but I can't go up here. Or can I? Well, no. I mean, technically yes, if I was to bounce off them. I don't know how feasible that is. Holy shit! Okay. Outside of the cool randomness stuff that the randomizer provided, this was the most satisfying part of the run. Trying some minor technical movement that the game didn't intend, and it was quite interesting to see exactly where I needed to wall climb or dash. Unfortunately, it ultimately didn't help me much. I explored and explored and explored, but I was kind of stuck. I had unlocked most of the map through one way or another, but I didn't have wall climb, I didn't have the dream nail, I didn't have swimming. Standard swimming. Yeah, the randomizer took that away, so I couldn't get to Kingdom's Edge. There are 4 simple keys in the game, and I hadn't found any of them. Just one would unlock the waterway. So the hunt began. I hadn't played the game properly in 2 years, and I didn't know it that intricately to begin with, so this would come down to pure exploration. Where is there a random breakable wall? A small pocket that contains a mound of geo that I didn't know about that might now be what I need? I could brave Deep Nest, but with no lantern, that would be hell. So, no. I simply refuse. Down in Deep Nest, I encountered all kinds of horrors, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be originally. I found an entrance where part of this horrorland wasn't pure darkness, but unfortunately there wasn't much to find here. Bit of a letdown, really. Couldn't even take on the boss because I didn't have a wall climb. To clarify, I did not actually go down the darkness paths because I couldn't see. It would be hell. I found Yzma's Tear in the City of Tears, that's fun, so I made my way to the Queen's Gardens. However, just beforehand, I encountered the Moss Charger, which has Monomon! Okay! 1 down, 2 to go. But also, there's like 10 other things I need to get the true end, but we'll get to that when we get to it. In Queen's Gardens, there wasn't much to find, but I'll tell you what, the platforming was so much harder without a dash or a wall climb. However, I did find the Stag Nest Stag, which at 6 hours in led to this. Oh my god. 6 hours in. Oh my god, yes. The crazy thing though, it still didn't actually amount to much. This extra movement didn't lead to any useful items in terms of progression. 2 hours, 40 minutes later, I found Swim. It was just tucked away at a point in Green Path that I missed. It wasn't even that well hidden, I just missed this small corner of this room. Finally, Kingdom's Edge. Let's make some proper progress. We don't find a huge amount that's helpful, but we do reach the Colosseum and take on the Pale Lurker. Doing so gives us the Love Key, so we can ascend the tower and take on the Collector. The Collector has a lot of items, so hopefully at least one of them is good. And sure enough, yes, they have a simple key. Let's head to the waterway. The waterway is a veritable treasure trove. I immediately found Hera, amazing, and 2 simple keys. What a find. I opened the God Home entrance, which doesn't really do much for me. I got an ancient basin map and kind of forgot you needed the Dream Nail to ascend there, so that was kind of a waste. Shortly afterwards, I head to the Pleasure House to get my geo back from the fraudster and find half of the White Fragment. But in doing that, I sealed my doom. I have fully softlocked myself. There is now no way to get the true ending. In the original game, you can use a simple key in Dirtmouth to open a door where you can buy your shade back from Gigi in exchange for some rancid eggs. This is to help you if your shade is in a really awkward place or you're not as good at the game and you desperately want all the money back. However, in the randomizer, they act as a shop. I did not know this. You can exchange rancid eggs for items, but because I used up the free keys I found, I unknowingly destroyed the logic put in place by the randomizer. I explain it pretty well in the live stream, so here you go. To beat the game, you need to enter the Abyss, and you need the King's Brand and the Void Heart and all that stuff. The King's Brand is in the egg shop, which means I need a key. I've already used my free keys to unlock the Waterway, God Home, and the hotel where the banker is. So the final key is by beating Grim. But to unlock Grim, you need to have the Dream Nail, which is in the Abyss. So to get into the Abyss, I need the King's Brand. But the King's Brand's in the egg shop, which means I need a key. But the only key that's left is by beating Grim. But to beat Grim, I need to have the Dream Nail, which is in the Abyss. And to get to the Abyss, I need the King's Brand. And to unlock the King's Brand, I need a key. And the key is by beating Grim. And I have created a perfect circle. Unintentionally, I broke this randomizer. It had logic put in place, but there is a tiny bit missing, a tiny shred that I unintentionally destroyed. It's also very unfortunate that there is no bench in the Abyss, so I can't even use a warp trick to get in there. But I've come this far, I'm not going to end here. I'm going to at least beat the game normally. Lurian was in the fungal core near the Mantis village, so with that I am indeed able to fight the Hollow Knight and get an ending. Despite not having the Dream Nail, the Dash, the Void Dash, or any of the items needed to reach the Abyss, or the White Palace, or any of that stuff. A crazy run, but an upsetting, albeit funny end. Thank you very much for watching. This was a crazy experience, and I absolutely adored it. I hope you enjoyed watching my journey. I enjoyed it. I'd be up for doing another randomizer in the future. It's hard though, but I can recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon for Hollow Knight Silksong. Take care. Bye-bye.